And that was Dinner Bell by They Might Be Giants. This is Harper, DJ Clueless, coming at you from Zombie Apocalypse Survivor Radio. The station is humming along and doing very well. Our cash crop of cannabis has gotten us quite a few trade partners in the area, but, as we talked about before, one of the problems with trade is a lot of colonies or settlements pop up and then disappear. And I said this last time, but I cannot stress this enough. You get one zombie inside the gates or inside the door or beyond the barricades, whatever, and it's pretty much all over unless you can catch them before they bite anybody. And a lot of them are pretty fast. And we got to look at the people who are bitten like sleeper agents. They don't know what they're doing. They're not in control. So they can't tell you that they're bitten. Except there was one. We had some new people come in. And one of them was named Becky. And Becky had traveled from south up here. And first of all, apparently the south, the kudzu's out of control. It's just kudzu everywhere as far as you can see. Apparently quite a few southern states actually have like kudzu control, which they need to keep roadways clear. Well, without people, the roadways aren't clear. And what Becky was saying is that they tried to stick to the roads, but even on the roads, the kudzu was so thick that sometimes you couldn't tell when you were on the road when you weren't. So it was a little bit more challenging. And yeah, the world's definitely going to seed. You don't realize how much lawn care is part of the mental civilization mapping until all of the lawns are wild. And don't get me wrong, the bees, butterflies, and other insects are thriving in a way I don't think I've ever seen. The number of fireflies has to have tripled. And, one of the people here was like, well, maybe it's just that we don't have as many lights. And I'm like, no, there's more fireflies. I've lived in the country most of my life. Trust me, there's more. I've been places where there isn't light. Trust me. So the other thing is we have a lot more wildlife popping back up. And, as people in the U.S., we haven't necessarily been that fearful of wildlife. We live next to bears and all kinds of different things, and cougars and wildcats and, all kinds of predators. And because of our population, we've really put them towards the edges and depleted their population. So I'm hoping they all spring back really, really well and the earth rebalances a little. But without people here controlling those populations, we can allow those populations to build back up. And when I say allow, I mean we are subject to that because it's happening whether we want it to or not. And I'm not saying that makes the zombie apocalypse a good thing, because it's not. But I'm taking the joys where I can find them, because otherwise we will all give in to despair and die. It was really, really weird during the beginning stages of the zombie apocalypse, because cities were going down and a lot of us still had to go to work. And the government was collapsing, but we still had to do our jobs because otherwise we couldn't buy food. It was a cognitive dissonance. We should have gone into survival mode, and we were doing survival mode the way we used to before zombies, which is work harder, get more money, die. And with the zombies, it should have been fortifying, hiding, stocking up, all of which also takes money. So anyway, however, we won't get into the societal ills of pre-collapse. We're going to focus on the societal ills post-collapse. And one of the things Becky was talking about is she was in Louisiana, and she was in a scientific enclave. They actually had a very large geodesic dome and a big, huge privacy fence, and this whole area, this campus that was not locked off from the outside of the world, but at least gated off with several different layers of protection. So they did pretty well for a while. And one of the things one of their scientists did is he took the song Dinner Bell by They Might Be Giants, and he played it every day at 6 o'clock for 3 weeks. And, you play music, zombies come. That's just, they are attracted to it. They come to the sound. So apparently, after 3 weeks, the zombies showed up for the next 3 weeks at 6 o'clock without the music. So yeah, zombies can be Pavloved. I guess that's good to know. That has to be useful in some sort of way, right? Anyway, Becky said it was eerie and that every time they showed up, she felt like giving them some sort of treat. But since they only bite humans, it's not like you can just throw them out some fried chicken or something, Anyway, Becky left the enclave when it went from being sort of a loose democracy of everybody voting about what took place to a might is right kind of place. And there are a lot of places where this is happening. It is harder to govern as a collective. It is easier when one person is in charge. However, that leads to a lot of megalomania. Because sometimes when people are in charge, they don't see all of the things that are going on. The reason you need more people is because more people bring more information. Gossip in today's world is more valuable than money, because gossip tells you if there's a horde 300 miles south. Gossip lets you know if Mother's Hands is a cult or a safe place. Gossip lets you know what supply drops actually still have supplies. Like it's sort of endless, It lets us know all kinds of things, including who needs what to trade. And that has been invaluable because we, as you know, have been in high production growing. We're lucky enough that a large part of this vocational college was agricultural. So lots of places for that. And holy crap, the seed bank. Anyway, I digress. We have been growing and growing and growing and trying to export as much as we can to get other goods. We have basically cleaned out this town at this point of supplies, and now we're moving on to the outlying towns. But that just creates an ever larger concentric ring pattern that takes you further and further away from home base. What we need are supply chains, supply drops, and working with other communities. And I don't know if back in the day how many of you watched the TV show Jericho, but nuclear bombs, blah, blah, blah. But they were a town that produced salt. So they had salt to trade. And, post-electricity, salt's important. And so we are hoping that our canned foods, our veggies, our fruits, nuts, etc., all of that will be good enough to trade. And honestly, Priya is a genius when it comes to growing things. Seriously, she's amazing. And the cannabis grows that she has, we have been trading, and people are actually really using it for medicine. It is a medicine that can be basically made by anybody. And that's not true of a lot of the others. Although we do have some people who think we should be playing with poppy seeds and figuring out opium, but luckily we're growing tomatoes instead. The opium problem can be kicked down the road for a later discussion, because right now there's just not room. I pretty much, if there is dirt, it's growing something edible at this point, which is actually kind of amazing. Every spring, every summer, I am just amazed at how plant life grows so fast and so lush with just a little bit of care. I say a little bit of care. We're out 12 hours a day, doing things. It's exhausting. I'm trying my best to keep up with, radio news and that sort of thing. I am very much the communications cabin when I'm here, but I haven't been here a lot. I've been sent off on scouting missions here, there, and everywhere, which is fine by me. I would much rather take my horse and try to find supplies and other things than weed or plant. I gotta tell you, my back is still sore from weeding and planting. Oh my God. Anyway, we are all there. That's what we're all doing this summer. So I don't need to tell you that. I do need to tell you that we know of a new settlement in Carbondale, Illinois. Well, I say new settlement. It is new to our knowledge base, but this settlement has apparently been there since society fell. And apparently there's like a castle on the campus there. It's at SIU campus, and there's a castle there. And so they have taken over the castle, and there are rumors of steam tunnels underneath. Now, there are steam tunnels underneath that campus, but there are rumors that they're using the steam tunnels underneath to get to other buildings and other locations and that kind of thing. So we are hoping to eventually make it there. We are going to be leaving here and heading west, and we're making a western route through Carbondale and a few other places, and our goal is to make it to the Mississippi River and check out the bridges. We're hoping to check out the bridge at Cape Girardeau and or the bridge at Chester. We know that most of the bridges to St. Louis and quite a few to Missouri were all blown up. Blowing up bridges and other things like that was pretty commonplace for the military to do once a city had a zombie problem, for all the good it did. A lot of times I wonder if they were just trying to screw over the survivors that actually made it through all of their bombing. Anyway, doesn't matter. They didn't survive, so I can't ask them. Anyway, we're hoping to find an intact bridge, or a bridge intact enough that we can repair it, because we're not going to be going over the bridges with semis. We don't have semis. It'll be maybe an electric car, but probably not, most likely horses, wagons, that kind of thing. So we actually have a guy who's making fiberglass wagons. I have no idea if they'll work or not, but he has a mold for it and has been doing that for a while, and that's how we've been bringing the produce in. I don't know anything else about it other than that. They're super lightweight, so we can load them up without the horses taking too much weight, basically. Anyway, so our hope is to work our way through these towns, scout for supplies, scout for survivors, and establish more trade, as well as communication, because it's not that far from us. We're trying to establish trade with people we can get to in a day or two, because more than that, you need a lot more people, and you need to have way stations that you can stop with horses. And basically, as we move out in concentric circles, we're mapping roads. We're mapping what roads need to be cleared. We're mapping all of this stuff, and it is a lot of data. It's a lot of data collection. But the main goal is so people have trade routes they can walk or boat on, and trade partners. Because here's the thing. If you're out trying to find supplies for your community and you come back and that community's fallen, where the hell do you go? You don't know. But what we're hoping is, if we are all in this together, which we should be, the zombies are, that if there's a problem in one colony, another colony can help, And I don't know, some of us are calling it colonies, some are calling it settlements. I've heard a lot of different terms for that, but even camps, when they're all in houses, it's like, I guess when you have to have candlelight, it's a camp, but still, regardless. Becky's whole story had us really thinking about colleges and campuses, because there are a lot of different operations on colleges and campuses, and college kids talk about surviving the zombie apocalypse for sport. So part of the reason why we're going to go up through Carbondale is it allows us to hit several different community colleges along the way, as well as, Marion is a pretty big hub, which can either be very, very good for goods and products or very, very bad for there being a lot of zombies. The population itself is a fairly normal-sized town, but Marion, Illinois has Route 57 and Route 13 crossing in it, and they will have 95,000 visitors every single day back when the world was the world. So potentially 95,000 zombies, potentially not very many, because the zombies have kind of migrated. And it's weird because some are going north, some are going south, some are going east, some are going west. We're trying to map it, but it seems all very random. But most of the zombies that have been in this town have left. The zombies we've seen since then are new. Because we've been kind of tracking them. Since we found out about the pikers and killing a huge number of zombies actually draws them to you, we've been very selective. If they aren't a threat, we're not bothering with ripping them, which, as much as I love everybody here, is not a decision I agree with. I feel like all zombies should be ripped all of the time, constantly, and we'll deal with the fallout later. But I do admit that I am impulsive and rather single-minded at times. So I will follow leadership on this, but the only good zombie is a dead zombie as far as I'm concerned. So the zombies that we've been recognizing have been gone for about a month, and new zombies have come in. And it's very, very weird. It feels almost like they're changing. It's like a shift change, which doesn't make any sense to me, but that's so much of what goes on in this world anymore doesn't make sense to me. Like the fact that I can tell when anybody's lying. Didn't used to be able to do that before. That's new. The fact that we all kind of have been having dreams, and those dreams come true or are telling us about something that has come true. So when I get a feeling like that, I've started to listen to them more, because ever since the zombies came, those feelings have gotten louder, more accurate, and more helpful, honestly. So yeah, that is where we are with that. So I'm not looking forward to the finding out how many zombies are in a place portion of things, but we do have a plan for that. And you can guess what it is. It's the same plan that we have had for all of our zombie operations. You put music really, really loud someplace, and you run like hell and hide. See who shows up. See how many show up. When we have done it here, it's been a couple hundred. Clearing out the whole campus was maybe 300. Now, I was a little bit off my rocker and out of my mind when I did all of that, so those numbers could be completely inaccurate. But it did feel like about what a population of that campus would be. So anyway, I am hoping we will not have too many people along the way, but Marion is one of the places we need to clean out, and so is Carbondale, just because they have so many stores with so many supplies, and I'm sure the Carbondale people have picked clean, simply just due to time. But there's a lot of other places that we can explore and get things from. And one of the big things that we're also looking at is books. How to do things. because we're going to have to kind of reinvent the wheel for a lot of this stuff. And that's fine. That's fine. Because our horses have carriages that don't have wooden wheels, which makes life a lot easier for all of us, you know. Reinventing the wheel sometimes gets you a better wheel. So anyway, with the next couple of weeks, I will be reporting from the road again, as it were, and talking about the different things there. Becky's trying to decide whether she wants to go with us or not. She would very much like another campus setting, but she doesn't know. And Becky gave me permission to share this. Part of the reason she's going with us is Becky's a finder. There are a few people out there who can find things. So that's a really useful tool. I don't know if you guys have ever been traveling and run out of water, but having someone who can find water is literally a lifesaver. So Malcolm wants me to let everybody know that they do know where Violet is, and it looks like she and Jim have headed into Canada. There is a settlement of pikers up there who live in trees like Ewoks, and she and Jim were welcomed with open arms to the Piker village, and apparently Violet is much beloved by the community there, and occasionally she will just explode all the zombie heads and everyone will party about it. So it looks like she fell into shit and came out smelling like roses. I mean, I guess every sociopath has to find a win somewhere, right? But I am happy for Jim. Jim was good people. He was good people. He was just doing what he thought was right, and trying to help where he could. So I'm glad he found some like-minded pikers, and I'm glad he's 100 feet up in the air above everything. Must be nice. So anyway, they're too far away to be part of our supply chain. And again, that's fine. We have people here. So I guess I'm basically just trying to let any survivors that are still listening know that there are communities, and there's a hell of a lot more communities than we thought when we started this. The number of camps and enclaves that we find on our way from one place to another is quite a few, and not all of them are eager to join up with a walled camp like ours or the plants. You know, I tell them about the station anyway and let them know that we have food and we have protection and we have electricity. Electricity seems to be more important than food sometimes to people. And I get it. Especially this summer. It's been 93 degrees. Without having a fan, I think we'd all die. And we have a little air conditioner unit window thing. We don't want to use the central air because it sucks so much energy that we need for other things. But, you know, we have one room where we all go in to cool down. A lot of us have been sleeping on the roof amongst the pot plants. So anyway, it's been a good summer. We haven't lost anybody, knock on wood, to zombie bites from the station in several months. And, you know, several months these days without losing anybody is a blessed miracle as far as I'm concerned. Especially after, you know, the attack on the plant and the trauma of everything. It's been very, very nice to grow things, to can things, to store things. We even have a whole fermentation shack going. I'm not sure what all's going on in there, but there are a lot of fermented vegetables we'll have later, apparently. So anyway, giving you all of this news. If you're alone and have means of reaching out, let us know and we will try to find you. If you don't have means of reaching out but can travel, these are the places we're going, so we might be able to find you. If you're alone, you won't be for long. Keep surviving. Anyway, that is all the news fit to print today. Thank you for listening to the Zombie Apocalypse Survival Radio Show, and we will be back next week, hopefully with more updates on towns and settlements near you.